Hello, Namaste, and welcome to Ayurveda Mentor. This is the second session of the program to heal and cure. You have to remember the primary objective of this program. It is to unleash the intrinsic healing and curing energy. The word intrinsic is very important here. Know that this energy, healing energy, it is inside you. When you are adopting the principles and practices of Ayurveda and yoga, you are nurturing it, you are manifesting it, and it is this energy that is leading you toward healing and cure. As you are inside the Ayurveda mentor community, it is very important to know the intention, to know the intent behind it. So the intent is very clear. I have taken it from the Sanskrit words. It is Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. Let us all be happy. Sarve Santu Niramaya. Let us all be free from disorders or ill health. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Let us all see benevolence. Ma Kaschid Dukh Bhag Bhavet. Let us all be free from sorrow, grief, and pain. This ancient Sanskrit verse, it explains, it is a kind of prayer that we are doing for all of us and for ourselves. So it is very important, and you have to pay some attention toward this prayer or words or affirmation, whatever you call it. In all the last 20 plus years of clinical practice, I have found one thing that is of supreme importance. It is to make people understand the significance of well-being. Yes, Ayurveda has nailed it very directly. Ayurveda maintains that whatever are the pursuits in life, whatever is your objective or goals in life, whatever you want to do or achieve, all of that, for all of that, health or well-being is the common foundation. It is one of the most significant foundation for your achievements. If you are healthy, definitely you can move toward your goals in a very natural way. That's why you should regard the Ayurvedic principles and practices to the highest. When I'm saying the word regard, it doesn't mean that you are paying some attention, you are trying to understand. It means you are trying your best to understand as well as implement it, and then you will reap the benefit, and that will be health and well-being. Before moving to the main topic, vowel types, it's very important to consider what does it mean by being healthy in Ayurveda. When you see the Ayurvedic word, it is swasth. It is made up of two words, swa plus istha. So we will go somewhat deeper into it. Swa means self, oneself, each of us, each one of us. Istha means established, rooted, grounded. So swastha means when you are established, when you are rooted in yourself, and this is your natural state. You consider whenever you are having some little problem like headache or some rise in temperature, all of your attention goes to that place. It appears that your consciousness, your awareness is not freely flowing, and it is stuck in that body part. That's why when you are healthy, your consciousness or awareness is freely flowing, and it is considered your natural state. So now you see one of the definitions of health in Ayurveda. This is from the ancient textbook of Sushrut Samhita. Sushrut is considered as the father of Indian surgery or simply as the father of surgery. So this is very important definition of health, and we will go into this definition at the primary level, at the first level, and in next sessions I will go more deeper into this definition. The definition is samdosa, sama agni, samdhatu malha kriya, prasan atma indriya mana swast iti abhidhiyate. So we will explain it. The first four factors, samdosa, samdhatu, sama agni, and malha kriya, these first four factors, these are physical or these are closely related with our physiology. So if you see these factors, dosa, there are three dosas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha, Agni. It simply means digestive and metabolic fires, or your digestion and metabolism. Dhatu means tissues that made up different types of organs. Malakirya means functioning of the waste or elimination of the waste material from our body. Either it is in a gross form like fecal matter or urine, or it is metabolic waste that is generally excreted out through urine via kidney. So these four factors are very important for the physiological well-being or physical well-being. Next, three factors. These are important for the mental and emotional well-being. So there are three things here. Prasan, Atma, Indriya, Mana. One is consciousness or awareness. Second is mind, and it is explained very elaborately. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, and moods, these are the component of the mental stuff. And then we have senses. Ayurveda is very particular here. There are very few health sciences that consider the health of the sense organs. There are 10 types of senses. Five of them are sensory, five of them are executive. They are performing various activities like our hands, our legs. They help us to move, to like catch something. So most of the disorders, most of the chronic disorders, whatever you consider, their symptoms, these heavily impact the sensual perception. You say that you have ulcerative colitis. There will be some pathogenesis, disease process inside the large intestine, but what the person is feeling, some type of gas, cramps, urge to pass a stool, weakness. So these are all the sensations that you can relate with. And these are the clinical symptoms and signs of the disease. So in all the disorders, whether it is very simple problem or very just chronic and very obstinate disorders like cancers, most of the persons, they are feeling it primarily through their senses, and it becomes very important to manage this aspect of the health. So when Ayurveda considers health, it considers the health of the senses, all the 10 senses. So you have seen the physical well-being as well as mental and emotional well-being, and the health of Ayurveda provides you 7 factors that you can consider when you are just taking care of your health in a very holistic manner. And there are two keys here. The first key is the word samaha. So you have seen it with the physical factors or physiological factors. Sama means dynamic equilibrium. There is a very simple concept in medical physiology also. It is called homeostasis. All the physiological parameters, or I will say all the anatomical parameters, our muscles, tissues, nerves, everything, they tend to remain within a certain physiological range. We call it healthy range. You consider blood glucose level. If it is within a certain range, we are healthy. If it goes beyond a certain limit, then we have symptoms of hypoglycemia. And if goes above a certain level, we have diabetes problem. So this is true with all the other parameters, whether we know it or not. So all these parameters, they tend to remain within a certain physiological range, and we call it homeostasis. So remember, this sama, it doesn't mean a kind of equilibrium, a inert or passive equilibrium. This is a very active process, very dynamic process. Every time there is some influx and outflux, and it is balanced in a very dynamic way. And this is what makes us very unique from biological point of view, from living point of view. So this is the first key here. The second key is the word prasanna. Sometimes it is simply translated as happiness. The actual meaning is composure or groundedness. So when our consciousness, our mind, thoughts, feeling, emotions, and mood, and our senses, these are composed, then we are healthy. So these two characteristics are very important when you are considering holistic aspect of the health, especially from Ayurvedic point of view. So you will consider when you combine all these seven factors, four physical factors and three mental and emotional well-being factors, you will find that Ayurveda describes health in a very holistic way. It describes health as a system of body, mind, and consciousness based medicine. Initially, I thought to introduce you with Ayurveda dosas Vata Pitta Kapha. But when I thought deeply about it, I found that if I introduce you first with bowel types and then Ayurveda dosa, this will give you some of the things that you can relate very well, and then we can move to the further deeper understanding of the Ayurvedic dosage or Ayurvedic body mind types. So we are moving with bowel types. When I say bowel types, you have to understand the word differently from Ayurvedic perspectives. Generally, bowel means a small intestine or large intestine or your gut. But in Ayurveda, the word kosta, it is used as the primary cross channel. So if you see vowel starts from mouth to anus, it is called alimentary canal, alimentary duct. So if you see that all of our body parts, whether they are small or large, they are containing some sort of channels, some sorts of conduits to flow the energy, to flow the nutrients. So there are different types of channels there. So, and when we say costa or bowel, it is one of the primary channel, that is the seat of digestion and absorption. So, in this light, we will be considering the bowel type in Ayurveda. First, we have to consider why is there need to consider bowel types. Why do we need to know about it? So, we have to understand the process of nutrition. The process of nutrition has five phases, and we should know about it. First is ingestion, it means drinking or eating something. Second one is digestion, breaking the macromolecules into a smaller one. Third one is absorption, that we are absorbing the nutrients inside our gut. And then assimilation, all these nutrients are circulating throughout the body and they are going to various cells and tissues where these are utilized or metabolized. And then we have the process of elimination of the waste products. So, as I told you earlier, there are two or three gross like waste products. One is like fecal matter or stool. It is the waste product of the bowel or gastrointestinal tract. The second one is urine. It is primarily the waste of the metabolic process, and then we have sweating. This is the third one. And in Ayurveda, we consider different types of waste products that result from tissue metabolism, the metabolic process that is going on inside different tissues. So, when I'm saying bowel types or bowel movement, you should consider that it is having, it is guiding you about the end impact of all the five phases of nutrition process on your gastrointestinal tract. Simply, when you consider the bowel movement or bowel types, it gives you a very good idea about how all the phases of nutrition process have gone, right from digestion, absorption, assimilation, and elimination. So this is a very good standard to judge your condition. And when we move to the bowel types, there are primarily three of them: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha type. So Vata, Pitta, and Kapha is having influence on the bowel, and it is very easy to understand. And many times, Ayurveda bowel types are divided into seven types where there are groups. Vata, Pitta, Kapha, three of them. Then next three are Vata, Pitta, Vata, Kapha, and Pitta, Kapha. And the seventh one where all the three are present. So if you understand the first three, rest of them becomes very easy for you to understand. And you have to understand the like how vata, pitta, and kapha is influencing the gastrointestinal tract. What are the gross symptoms of vata on the gastrointestinal tract, or simply abdomen or digestive system? When there is aggravated vata, there will always be some sort of gas, bloating, flatulence, pain. Many times it is colic pain, and irregularity is one of the main sign of vata. Whether it is your appetite, your digestion, it will be irregular. Sometimes it could be good, sometimes very good, sometimes bad. So there will be some sort of irregularity in it. And here you have to understand two words, appetite and digestion. Appetites means whenever we are feeling hungry. Digestion means when we have eaten something, how it is going in next 3, 4, or 5 hours, how we are feeling about it. And these two are very different things. Many times people are having pseudo appetites or pseudo hunger, but their digestion, it can be very poor. These type of problems are found in vata and pitta type of problems. So next, we move to the impact of pitta dosa on the digestive system, on the gastrointestinal tract. Whenever there is aggravated pitta, it will reflect as something like hyperacidic or hyperalkaline, or there will be like predominance of the sour and bitter taste. There will be burning, hyperacidity, nausea, vomiting, and pseudo appetite. You feel hunger, but you are not able to digest it. So, this is a very peculiar sign of the pitta aggravation inside digestive system or gastrointestinal tract. The third one is kapha. Whenever kapha will be aggravated, there will be lot of mucus, there will be heaviness, indigestion, poor appetite, and weak digestion. So here you will find that kapha is causing weak appetite as well as weak digestion. So these three, vata, pitta, kapha, these are causing some of the primary symptoms when there is some aggravation inside the digestive system. And when I say bowel types, you have to understand the impact of vata on the bowel movements, how it will be. In vata bowel types, the bowel movements, it will be irregular, sometimes good, sometimes not good, sometimes just going several times. There will be hard stool. Most of the time, there will be hard stool and irregular response. Whenever you are eating something, sometimes it's very good for the bowel, sometimes it is not producing anything, you feel constipated even after eating it. So when we consider Ayurveda, vata bowel types is known by the word krur. You can translate it as cruel or very tough type of bowel movements. So this is vata bowel types. Next one is pitta bowel types. In pitta, bowel movements are regular, soft, loose, easy to respond. Whenever you are just having very mild laxative, whether in the form of home remedies or in the form of some diet, it responds very well. Your bowel movements respond very well to it, and when it is happening, you consider that you are having pitta bowel type. The next one is kapha bowel types. Here, the bowel movements are regular, the consistency is well formed, and it can be with lot of mucus also, lot of whitish material that is attached with the fecal matter. So you have these three like main main symptoms or main effect of vata, pitta, kapha on the bowel movements, and you will be able to understand the bowel types based upon it. There is one very important aspect here. Whenever I'm saying bowel types, you have to consider it in relation with food in a healthy person. Yes, it is very important. In a generally healthy person, you have to consider it. Sometimes there are other disorders like in inflammatory bowel disease, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, or in celiac disease. there are different type of pathology that is residing inside the gastrointestinal tract, and it is having another effect, another layer of effect on the bowel movements. And we have to consider it for all the other disorders also, particularly chronic disorders. They are exerting certain type of effect on the bowel movements. We have to consider it. So bowel movements, bowel types you have to consider like normally based upon the food that you are eating, your lifestyle. The second level, it is based upon the disease or disorder that you are having. And in the second level, we have to consider the impact of certain Ayurvedic herbs that you are taking or medical drugs that you are taking. They are also having some impact on the bowel movements. So we have to consider it. So for general understanding, you know that there are three bowel types, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, and how you are responding to them. So this gives you a very good picture about the bowel types that you are having at any given point of time. In the end, I like to bring back the focus toward primary objective behind this program, behind all these learning, understanding, and implementation. It is to lead you on the path of healing and cure by unleashing the intrinsic energy. This is our objective so that you could feel empowered in your life with better health and greater happiness using Ayurveda and yoga. So I wish you to have vibrant health now and always. Thank you and namaste.